Hello, everybody, and welcome to Deborah Kobylt Live. I have a guest in studio with me that everybody needs to hear about, Laura Carlin. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Laura Forbes Carlin.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I was looking. I'm like, wait a minute. Laura Forbes Carlin, Clutter-Free Parenting is your book. I read all of it. I want you to know that. And I've got little
Thank
bullet
you.
notes in here because this is not just for decluttering as if you're a parent. It's for decluttering in your life. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
This is a must. Now, a lot of people might say, like, isn't it easy? You just throw stuff out. Come on. We all need help figuring out what to throw out, what not to throw out, and you're here to sort it out, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tell me why you did this, because your story is really funny, because you were a little kid, and what did you like to do?
I like to clean my room. And my sister, who's my co-author, was my partner in decluttering.
Allison.
My sister, Allison. She was my younger sister. And admittedly, she was more of the reorganizer, redecorator, but I was really about that clutter clearing and cleaning out our mother's closets. And that was our fun.
Okay.
I know, and still is.
I have to tell you, I did a little of that because I liked being organized, and I would sometimes go in my closet and rearrange my little clothes from, I don't know, colors, I guess. I didn't really have that much. And I always did it with my Barbies and their clothes, so I guess that counts, right?
It counts. Absolutely, it all counts. And, I realized also when I was older that there was something deeper going on, because there was a lot of chaos in our family life at the time, because my parents were going through this contentious divorce, and then my grandparents died suddenly in an accident. And so really, as I was creating that outer calm and order, I was creating more peace inside of myself.
But there's no doubt that if you have too much stuff around you, even if people say, oh, it makes me happy, it reminds me of, the fact is, if you keep piling stuff on, it clutters your mind, right? Can you explain that to me or all of us?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I think we all can appreciate that life is complicated.
Yeah.
And stuff just adds to that. It really does. Because those physical blocks in our home, it's not just physical items, they are emotional blocks. And so whether it's literally just how much time our stuff takes, it's been reported the average American home has 300,000 possessions. And if you think, even just look around your home and think about one item, well, how much time went into that one item? Even before you purchased it, spending time researching it, comparing prices, you go to the store and get it, you bring it home, you're unpackaging it, you're taking care of it, finding a home for it. It goes on and on. And so there's just this incredible investment, or trade really on our time and energy for all of these possessions. That literal time and energy, and then also that mental energy.
How did we become a society with too much stuff? I know growing up, my closet in my room was small. My parents' closet was small. And now if you go to build a house or you're looking at a house, it's like you need a his closet or her closet. Right. The kid needs a walk-in closet. You need lots of storage, which we all have too.
Yeah.
Why? How did it become like this?
You hit exactly. I mean, that's the issue. Like since 1950, our homes have nearly doubled in size. Less people living in them, and it's still not enough room for our stuff, because 1 out of every 10 Americans has that offsite storage unit. 25% of people can't park their cars in the garage. We're overflowing. We throw away 65 pounds of clothing per year, and the studies also show that all of that stuff elevates stress hormones in mothers, and families report not spending time in their backyards, not sitting down for family meals because of all the stuff. And those, to me, are like the saddest symptoms of clutter. It's stressing us out. It's, first of all, it's money and time.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's money and time and energy, and it's stressing us out, and it's taking the place for the things that really matter. Those family meals and time in the backyard, self-care, time with our kids, time with our loved ones, pursuing our passions. Clutter is just taking up space for all of that.
We're definitely a generation who hangs on to stuff. I have my grandmother's china, and by the way, I don't use it. I've got my mother's stuff, and I don't use that either. And then just stuff I've collected from, little gatherings where you go someplace, and I'm trying to part with things too, but I'm struggling. So what do you say to people who want to declutter and really are holding on to it? What did you tell me?
So my definition of clutter is anything that is not loved or useful is clutter. So if you don't use it and you don't love it, it's clutter. And we really want to go for the love part, Because again, like there's enough to deal with in life and outside our homes. We want to be choosing that love in our homes. You know, ideally, every single thing in your home would lift up your energy, make your heart sing. And so what we also want to do is really be mindful about bringing ourselves to the present moment. Because you may think, you know, and you meaning everyone, we all look around and think we love all of this stuff. But when we really go a little deeper, we may find that, first of all, maybe we don't love it. It's triggering negative memory. Or maybe we did love it, but it's really not a reflection of who we are in this moment. We want our homes to be current and reflect who we are in the present moment.
I have to tell you, when my mom passed a few years ago, I grabbed her pants, her favorite pants that she used to wear. And I thought, come on, Deborah, what am I going to do with her pants? I finally parted with it. I took a photo, and it's in my phone, and I disposed of her pineapple pants. She had these little pineapple pants. You know, sometimes you think you want it because you're so attached to it at the moment.
Yep.
But I have trouble of letting go of things. I'm one of those people, I will tell you. And
so part of it is trusting also. It's really realizing, okay, if this memory is this special, like it is a part of me.
Right.
That book we read, those ideas are a part of me. And it's trusting that just the object, releasing the object doesn't, you know, take away from the memory or take away from the ideas in the book or whatever it may be. And taking a photograph is a wonderful thing. Oftentimes my clients can part with things much easier when they know they have that photograph of the object.
that's really helped me a lot, you know, and just thumbing through your book a little bit. I mean, you do give some really great examples. One that you used yourself with your son, right? And his train room, I guess.
Yes.
I think we even have a picture of that. There he is.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. So
Okay, so one of the things clutter can do is it can take the place of new and better things from coming into our life. So also to your point, part of it is just starting, because the more you free up space, you're going to feel those benefits, and that's also what's going to keep you going. So in this case, my son, when he was 7, decided he wanted to do model train layouts.
and that's a lot of space.
That's
too.
a lot of space, and that's a lot of mess, and it's paint and glue and paper mache and all this stuff. And it started in our kitchen. I'm like, this can't stay in our kitchen. So we're at this crossroads, and we're like, you know what? We're going to support this hobby. And we had this storage room in our basement, and we decided to turn it into a model train room. So this room was lined with stuff, you know, 3 shelves lined with boxes of stuff. And we kept some of our like beloved holiday decorations, like relocated some camping gear, but most of it we got rid of. And what has taken place in that room since then has been amazing. I mean, he's 12 now. 5 years in, he is still model train building.
Oh, that's
and,
cool.
you know, it's magical, and he's so in his element. And I look back at that time, and it would have been very easy for my husband and I to say, you know, we don't have room for model trains.
Oh, no.
But look, and for all this stuff where I can't even remember, I can't even name a thing that was in the stuff we got rid of, versus a passion that my son may have the rest of his life. So we have to realize that sometimes we aren't even aware what this clutter is taking the place of. You know, we want to make space and let that new and better come into our life.
Very often it's but I might need it if. What do you say to those
Okay,
people?
so that's so common. In fact, Karen Kingston, she coined the term just in case clutter. She wrote a book called Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui. And that is, again, so much underneath all of clutter, the root of all clutter is fear. Fear of letting go of the past, or fear of the future, and we always anticipate this negative future. Just in case, you know, I better keep this thing I really don't like, just in case I don't have enough money. I better keep these crutches just in case someone sprains their ankle again. So this is what I say. You want to, again, bring yourself to the present moment and affirm a positive outcome, because that stuff is an anchor in your environment of something negative that we don't want to manifest in our life. So that's even, you know, that's the motivation to let go of it is, no, I want to trust that my needs will be met on time and in time, and I want to have things that reflect my current goals and what my intentions are, not something negative.
Okay. What do you do, again, if you're still, you know, because we all know that we should get rid of stuff.
Yes.
And then we go in the closet, we open it up. I'm talking
Right.
me here. And I'm like, oops, and I just close it again. Do you get an organizer? Because they're expensive. If you do
Yes.
get an organizer to help you, do you have a close friend? What do you do? Because you
Okay.
need somebody over your shoulder saying you're not going to use it. I will
Yeah.
fight with them. I actually had my girlfriend's daughter come help me, and she looked at a pair of, I'm not kidding you, clogs that I had worn, I don't even know when. And she goes, Mrs. Kobylt, you are not going to use these. And I said, give them back. I actually took them out of the bag and I hid them
Right.
somewhere. And she found them. What do you do for
That's so
somebody like
funny.
me?
All right, so listen, if you're overwhelmed and you have a hard time letting go, it is about that starting small.
Okay.
You know,
Start small.
It is start small. And there's a 4-step clutter clearing process that we use, and that is the first step. You start with an area, you start with a room, and then within the room, pick an area. So for you, it might be as small as I'm in the bedroom, looking at the dresser, and I'm picking one drawer. And just clearing one drawer, again, you will feel the benefit of that. And that is what is going to motivate you to tackle the more challenging areas and to keep going. The other thing that I recommend is having a clutter clearing plan where you actually write down all the rooms in your home and then break it down into different areas. And then that way you have a beginning point and an end point. So we realize, okay, this is something that I can complete, because otherwise it just feels like too much to take on. But when you break it down like that, it's motivating.
Or allow yourself 1 out of 5 items, maybe. Can you do that, or just
better to go with your intuition? And also, this might be worth mentioning too. You know, there's a big difference between decluttering and organizing.
Okay.
And so when we're in the decluttering phase, which is choosing what to keep and what to let go of, we want to be more in our hearts than in our head. And you really don't want to be thinking about numbers or one thing in, one thing out. You really just want to be thinking, is this loved or useful? And then observing your response. You know, for useful items, we might be saying, well, when's the last time I used it? How often do I use it? Do I have something else that fulfills the same function? But for that loved part, we observe our thoughts and feelings in our body, because our bodies always tell the truth. And if you tune in, like invariably, the things you love, you take a deep breath, you feel expansive, and the other stuff, you feel that tightening, which is usually a sign of the fear or that the object is bringing you down in some way. So we really want to trust our intuition. And then the other piece too is that, you know, again, going back to this, you got to clear your clutter first before you think about organizing, because you simply can't organize clutter. What'll happen is you're going to waste your time and your money, because you're going to go out and buy all these containers and all these organizing items. And chances are, like when you clutter clear, very little organization is required. You know, so you're not even going to have to spend a lot of time organizing when you're pared down.
I say, if you have less stuff, you're better at your work. You'll have better sex because you have less stuff on your mind. Am I right? Just better everything. You'll be a better, as you say, parent.
Absolutely, because again, you know, the physical clutter really is emotional clutter, and it gets in the way of living that ideal life, that vision, you know, our unique version of whatever our ideal life is. It gets in the way of the love between us and our kids, because your home reflects your consciousness. So if your home is cluttered and chaotic, we are going to feel stressed out and overwhelmed. And we can't be present and connected with our kids and at our best when we're feeling stressed and overwhelmed.
Do you go into people's homes and help them?
I do.
And what do you do? Look, I have a friend, and she just moved from her home, and she had to go through stuff, and she hired an organizer or someone to help her declutter. But she hung on to, this is hard to believe, 13 of those large, I don't know, bins, crates, whatever, storage places. 13
Wow.
to house her stuff that she couldn't part with, which to me was shocking. I hope she doesn't watch today. But that's a lot.
That's a lot.
And the organizer was constantly battling with her. What do you do for her?
You know, I think that what I do is, you know, I have to respect where everyone is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
You
really,
have to.
You have to. And so, but typically in my consultations, because I really do work with that connection between your home and your life. So I will start, even before I come to someone's home, having them write down what's working in my home, what's not, what's working in my life, what's not. And then when you come home and when you come to someone's house and you say, guess what, you know, your relationship isn't going well, look at this bedroom. Does this look like a place that supports love? Or is it cluttered, and does the television overwhelm the room, or the home office, or the exercise equipment? When you start making those connections, it's very motivating.
What do you think has happened, though, as a society where we're hanging on to stuff, buying too much stuff? What's going on? I mean, are we just such big consumers that we see stuff? Is it the Costco's of the world that we go there and just buy because we could afford to buy it, you know?
You know, that's such a big question. And yes, clearly, you know, we are that big a consumer, particularly in this country. I mean, we are. And so, and obviously our planet can't maintain that. And, you know, I really am a believer that the change is going to come from conscious homemakers. And when I use that word, you know, I'm certainly not making that that can be a shared family priority. I'm not, it's not a gender
Yeah.
thing, but I believe that, homemakers will ultimately be healers because our homes are a microcosm for the larger macrocosm, the earth. And so how we care for our homes directly, affects how we are all caring for the earth. And so we do have to be really mindful in our homes about what we bring into our homes, how much we bring into our homes, how we dispose of our things. That's a very important part of this process too, is how we let go. And we don't want to be cluttering up our friends, our family, the thrift stores, or the planet. And so we really have to take responsibility. And when we let go, we want to do that with intention. And really make sure that things are being disposed of properly and ensure that hopefully that they find a new home. And I do think that consciousness is changing right now. There's a big...
Just going to say that.
there's
I think there's a movement
there's a
to
zero
more
waste.
minimalism.
Yeah. I think it's happening. There's a zero waste movement going on, a minimalist movement going on. And so I feel like people are starting to realize that this stuff is not serving.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I sincerely feel that. I know just when I look at my own life and my parents who quite honestly had little, very little. And when I think about, therefore, I guess when I started having kids, I felt like maybe I needed a little more. And now that my kids are getting a little older, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I didn't need more in the first place, and I certainly don't want more now. So I want to pare it down, and I want to make sure that they do the same thing, because you're right, it's better for the planet. We can't just keep being these massive consumers. It's gluttonous. It's like overeating. It's just ugh.
I think you're right. And you just brought up something really important too, which is, as parents, it is counterintuitive because we all want what's best for our kids, right? So we associate that with more toys, more scheduled activities, more stuff. But we've got to get in this mindset, less stuff is more love, more presence and connection. And there's studies that show that children with fewer toys play deeper, more cooperatively, longer, more imaginatively. And I think we've all witnessed that. We've seen a child at a holiday time or a birthday when they are, don't even register the gift in hand before they're moving on to the next. And then we've seen a child when they're so deeply engaged with their play, and it's often the box that the gift came in or the kitchen utensils. That's the relationship we want our children to cultivate with the material things in their environment, that deep and engaged relationship. And I think that's what's going to translate to them having, taking more responsibility. How
often do you go through your things? I mean, do you do it daily, monthly?
So for me, at this point, I'm pretty pared down, and because I love clutter clearing so much, sometimes I'll let it get a little, So I have.
Oh, that's so funny!
So I have that to look forward to.
You have your drawer full of pots. We have a nice clean drawer of pots over there. If you have the photo, so you let it get a little messed up, so you can have something to do next month.
Exactly.
I love that. That's so funny.
But in general, I think great times are before holidays and after holidays. And for parents, end of the school year, because there's all that schoolwork and artwork we need to deal with. And this also brings up another point too, which is part of this process is, it's not just about becoming experts at letting go and decluttering and organizing, but we actually want to prevent it from accumulating in the first place. And so that is thinking about, well, before I even bring it into my house, so maybe it means at holiday time, so often parents, give their kids everything they want, forgetting that, well, all the relatives chime in too with their gifts. So maybe it's talking to family members, like we're paring down, let's have a group gift, let's have gifts of time and experience, whatever it may be, getting books from the library instead of purchasing books, but all the little ways that we can actually stop it from even coming into our house.
Okay, so you said there are 4 tips, if you will, to declutter.
Yes.
You want to list them for us?
Sure. Okay, so first is that choose an area and let yourself start small.
Okay.
Okay, second is that you are then going to take everything out of whatever spot you chose. So everything out of the closet, everything out of the drawer, off the shelf. And this is so important because otherwise we cheat and we don't really address each and every item.
You need to see each item.
You've got it, yep.
And categorize it. For me, I like to stick it in categories. Okay, the purses are here, the black purses are here, and then just go through it and get rid of it. Okay, number 3.
Okay, so number 3 is clean it, physically clean it. Because when we have this empty, freshly clean space, we're so much more mindful about what we put back in. We don't want to junk it up again.
Dust it off.
Dust it off.
It's probably got a ton of dust in there.
Absolutely.
Right? and the stuff has dust on it too. I'll sometimes look at purses, nice ones, and there's dust on them. I'm like, come on, Deborah. So, okay, so that's number 3. How about number 4?
And so then it's that, heart of it, which is determining, is this loved? Is this useful? And so that's, again, where we are asking ourselves some questions, observing our thoughts, feelings, how our body responds, and following our heart, really trusting our intuition and our body. Because sometimes I bottom line it with people. What is the worst that can happen? Maybe you buy it again. I mean, most of the time, that is the worst that can happen.
Yeah, I think most people, I'm sure, it's emotional. I know for me, I'm emotionally attached to something, and that's the hard part. So what do you say to them? Take a picture or?
Take a picture. Again, really, really bring yourself to the present moment. Remind yourself, trust that those memories are a part of you, and bring yourself to the present moment. Is this really, am I loving this now? Is this reflecting who I am now? And, if the answer is yes, then you are keeping it.
Right. There you go.
I don't have a rule for people on how much stuff they have in their home. It's not about how much. It really is about, is it serving me?
Remember that. Is it serving me? I'm going to have you come to my home because
I would love to.
I could just use a little help with a little push. And this time I will not hide my shoes in the back of the closet. I sort of can't, because I'm ready to release things. I think I was at a spot where I didn't want to because my parents had just passed away and I wanted to sort of squirrel away everything. And now it's like, okay, I can part with this stuff. And it is very freeing. It feels great.
It does feel great.
And I'm glad that I think the generation behind me is not so much into stuff. I mean, they're not using plastic bottles. I mean, there you go, right there.
Absolutely.
They're using glasses or they're using those containers to refill with water. So that I'm happy for that I think there is a movement to just get rid of everything that you don't need, or as you said, you don't love, or it doesn't serve you.
Yes. And in fact, the other thing I keep in mind sometimes and share with clients is that the leader of that movement, Bea Johnson, who wrote a book called Zero Waste Home, she you might have heard of her because her family produces one mason-sized jar of trash each year.
That's truly incredible. Each year. And, really, again, this idea that one person, one home makes a big difference. She really did start that movement. And anyway, one thing that she said is, she goes, when I have something in my home that I rarely use or never use, I consider it hoarding. And that really struck me because when I hear the word hoarding, I'm thinking of reality TV shows, right? Right,
and
with
my
people
home is much closer on the other end. But I'm like, wait a second, so many people rely on this secondhand market. What am I doing with something in my house that I'm not using that could benefit someone else?
But she must really live in peace. I mean, for an entire family to throw away a jar a year, she must be very uncluttered in her mind.
I think she is. And, she talks about it being, it's her life is about time and experience. And I think that's also, even though I say to people, okay, there's no rule about how much stuff, even if you love stuff, you have to ask yourself honestly, like, do I want my time to be spent caring for stuff or on time and experience? Am I going to be caring for my children or caring for their things? Because it does come down to that. It's a busy world we all live in, and we're all feeling it, and we have to make choices and be conscious about that. Or life just gets sucked up with the to-do and all of this stuff instead of, again, like enjoying our loved ones, enjoying our kids, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I so appreciate you coming in here. Clutter-free parenting. I mean, again, you're not just decluttering for yourself, but it does make you a better parent. They have less stuff, you have less stuff. And if they're really little, you just sort of teach them the joy of getting rid of what you don't want. It doesn't serve you. You don't love it anymore. Maybe somebody else can use it. So I love that. It's a great lesson there, too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Any
Thank you
parting
for having
words
me.
for people that...
Start now.
Yeah.
One thing, one drawer can have a big impact because clutter has this ripple effect. You may think that the clutter in the back of the garage isn't affecting your health, your relationships, your, finances, but it's really can be. And so on the flip side, when you remove one thing or one drawer, you never know what that ripple effect may be. That can have a huge impact on your life. So I would say just start. Let yourself start small, and that momentum will feed you.
Yeah, I'm in that mindset, I have to tell you, where I'm really trying to, I'm picking room by room, section by section, and my husband doesn't really want to do it, so I'm just going to find friends who want to do it with me. It's like I'll just pare it down without him. So, because I was actually going to ask you that. What do you do if you live with someone who doesn't really want to declutter, but you do?
Okay, so that is one of the most common questions, and so what I say is, and especially this applies to kids too, like inspire by example. I mean, we go to our teenager, if our like desk is piled high, our closet's overflowing, and we go to them and say, clutter, clear your room, like it's not going to go over well. It's kind of the same thing with our partner. Just take care of your own clutter first, inspire by example, and divide up as much as you can. Because again, as I said, you have to, like, people are on their own journey with this stuff.
Yeah.
And you really can't force someone to see the light. And so, but that doesn't mean that you should have to live with someone else's clutter. And disorganization. So try to have your own closet. If you can, have your own office, but or at least divide up the closet just as much as you can, have your space and their space so that you can live the way that you want to live.
Yeah. Good words of advice, useful words of advice, and we all need it. I know we do. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And how can people find you, please?
So they can find me at inspiredeverydayliving.com.
inspiredeverydayliving.com. So you've got the book. You also go to people's homes or at least consult with them on what to do. You give talks about this.
Yes. And phone consultations too.
Yeah, and I am going to have you come to my home. Please don't run back out. It actually looks like everything is so organized. It's the closet you have to peek into. It's like, oh. So, but I know I'm not alone in that. So.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Laura.
Thank you.
Everybody, thank you. Please pick up this book, Clutter-Free Parenting. It's a great read, and it's just great advice. Even if we sort of think about it, she walks you through the steps, and you can do that at home. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. And you can find our podcast on Facebook and YouTube. We put all of our promos out on Instagram. We're on Twitter. And if you want to listen to us, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and just about anywhere else you get your podcasts. Deborah Kobylt Live. Thanks for being here. See you next time.